Hello, welcome along, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome along if you're new. If you are, please hit that subscribe down there. So here we are now with part 4, and I think in this video we're going to get the engine completely built. I'm not sure about getting it weathered and stuff, but we'll see how we go. I want to start off with a massive thank you to all of you. I haven't had a chance or time to respond to all of you. I have had a plethora of emails and messages and WhatsApp messages and all sorts of stuff. Thank you so much, especially to one person who shall remain nameless, but you know who you are, from Airfix. So there you go. I've had pictures, I've had opinions, I've had one come this morning. Today is Thursday the 27th of November 2025. And somebody said today, surely they wouldn't have painted the actual blades of the supercharger because they have to be really precisely balanced because of their massive speeds. That's a really good point. Why would they put paint on something that would easily chip, break off, and cause an imbalance? And I know what you're thinking. It would only be a tiny amount. It only takes a tiny amount to throw those out, because remember, you know, these days we have ball bearing turbos. A lot of turbos, little superchargers, they call it a supercharger. I think it's really a turbo. I suppose it is a supercharger because it's not driven off the exhaust, is it? A turbocharger is driven off the exhaust. Supercharger is driven from a belt or mechanically. So yes, it is a supercharger. So if I use the word turbocharger, I'm sorry. But basically, I never understood why on the B17s and B24s and that, they call them turbo superchargers. They're turbochargers. They're driven by an exhaust. So why are they called turbo superchargers? I don't know. But anyway, that aside, basically the spindle will be running in a bore, and there will be clearance in that bore, and the clearance is generally quite large. It's not like a crankshaft. It's not like, you know, 1.5 tooth out. It'd be more than that. And basically, it runs in an oil film that is suspended. So if you get any imbalance, that shaft's going to run right around in there, and it's just going to be, you know, wear it out. So yeah, so I have seen a photograph where the vanes are painted blue and everything. Everything looks really neat and tidy. I think that could well be, I could be wrong, this is just my opinion, which counts for nothing. That could well be a training engine. So let's go from there. But anyway, I'm gonna do what I think looks right on this one. So we've now got all the parts, as you know from my little update video yesterday. They're all painted, and I've since gone over and clear coated. You can see we've got a slight sheen on there. I've clear coated where we're going to put decals. No, they're not decals, they're decals, and I don't want to get into that debate again because that one started, and I might not even show the comments because it's ridiculous. It's something that's gone on for absolutely years. Is it decals, is it decals, whatever, you know, who cares what it is? They're water slide transfers. There we go. So we have decals going on here, and as you can see, Airfix have cleverly numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and when you get your beautiful decal sheet that comes with this kit, it's absolutely stunning. I'm going to move these parts out of the way. The decal sheet in this kit is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, and what they've done is sensibly categorized things. So you can see this one here, this is your engine. Now this one here is going to be your cockpit. It's brilliant. So thoughtfully done. Now I'm going to cut these decals out. If you notice, I use scissors. I never use a knife to cut out decals, because the trouble is with using a knife is when you put a knife through a piece of cardboard like this, piece of paper, as it comes through, it pushes up an edge, much like a plough ploughing a field. And then what you'll find is when you come to slide them off, they'll get stuck on the edge. So I always use scissors to cut out my decals. So here we have, I'm going to basically remove these frames, because if you keep them on there, they will actually come off and float around in the water. Let's get into that corner. Yeah, they will come off and float around in the water. And you don't want that. So we'll start with number 1. Okay, so number 1 has 605A on it, and you can see there. Okay, so we're going to cut that down there carefully. Make sure we don't cut anything on number 2. Let's just whip that bit of paper off of there. There we go. And I'm also going to remove the number 1 because that is not as such a decal. What it does, it will just come off in the water and float around. And then what will happen then is it might get underneath this. If it gets under the carrier film, you've had it. Although it probably wouldn't show on this engine because it's black, but it's just good practice to cut the number off. Then I'm going to grab my, this is a little magnetic mat here that came with that Magic Factory Honda I did. Okay, so there's a little mat there I can put these on. So I'm going to grab my tweezers. I've got a little tub of, put this in the screen so you can see it. Got a little tub of water here, and I'm just literally going to hold the edge of the paper there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. I didn't clean it out before I put water in it. It's got all bits of dust in the bottom. So we'll leave that there for a few seconds. We're going to take the engine here. Okay, put that way up. And I'm going to grab a cotton bud. Notice this mat's filthy from doing those exhausts. Now I'm just going to put my finger on here and check and see that it moves. It's not moving yet, so it's not ready to go. So I'm just going to give it another quick dip in the water. Okay, and let that go for a couple of minutes. Until the decal lets go. Blimey, normally these cartograph decals let go straight away. It's taking a little while. That's okay. The water's gone pretty tepid already. It was warm. I think that's starting to go now. Yes, it is. Right, so what we can do now, I'm just going to grab a brush. Okay, and I'm just going to put a drop of water on the model. Notice I'm not using micro set and sole, because I've found lately when I use micro set, decals tend to just to the surface and then you can't move around. So I'm just using water here, and I'm going to looking at this. It looks like the 605 needs to be in line with the first single pair of bolts, so that's there. So I'm going to put that in position and then just lay that down on there. And then what we can do is position this, pull it up. You can see we got a pair of single bolts here, and that's 605. Looks like it's kind of in line with them. Get it kind of straight in the middle. Get it all looking good. Remember, this is going to be extremely visible on the model, because this is the top of the engine now. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my cotton bud and just roll it over the top, just like so. And there we go. That's gone down. There's a bit of dust under there in the clear coat, but I'm not going to worry about that because it won't show when it's all been flat varnished. So there you can see there's that decal in place, all looking lovely. And then what I'm going to do is grab my micro set and sole. Okay, I'm going to grab a drop of micro set first. This little brush here. Okay, I'm just going to brush some set on. Now, people will be saying you should put the set down first. Well, if you look at the instructions on micro set, they tell you to put it on after the decal has been put down. Okay, so we just brush that on there like that. Just like so. And then, get that done, I am going to get my micro sole. And this is the one that softens the decal and makes it pull down. So we'll put that on there like that and just kind of leave it to dry. So there we go. So we can put that over to one side. Now what I can do, because I shouldn't have done that, it's going to have dust and stuff in the bottom. Now what we can do is look at these tanks, these water tanks. So this is that one. So we want, as it happens, we want 2, 3 and 4. So once again, we can grab our scissors. Okay, so you can see we got 2, 3 and 4. If you catch it in the light, you can see the separate decals. So we'll put that up there. and then we'll cut this. Is number 2. Okay, so we know number 2 is some red writing. We'll cut off that number 2. Grab our tweezers, stick it in some water, and then put it on the mat. We know that number 3 is some data, so it's black data. So we can do the same again there, plonk that one in the water, and then we can come along. Number 4 we know is some black data with some red writing next to it. It's very difficult to see actually in the images here, but it's clearer in here. You can see it clearer there. Okay, so there's number 4 there. Now then, is that moving yet? Is that ready to go? No, it's not. They are taking a while to go. It's unusual. It's not a criticism. It's just an observation. Sometimes, usually with older kits, when the decals are a couple of years old, they tend to take a while to come off. But these are obviously being a bit determined to stay in place. And as you can see, there's some clear coat on there as well. So there we go. Just going to see on here. Yeah, that's going now. So I'm going to take this here. I need a cloth here. I'm just going to touch that on there, allow the excess water to come off. And then what we can do, we'll grab this. It is this one, isn't it? Yes, it is this one. So this is number 2. So this is going on to the front. So one thing I'm going to do is take this holder off that I used for painting. It's bloody stuck on there, isn't it? It's bloody typical. Come on, get off. Right. So we're going to put that in place there. Just put my thumb on the decal. I was holding it then in the tweezers, and the decal is now stuck to my thumb. So I'm going to push that down on there, and it should, there we go, it'll come off. So we can just put a drop of water on here. It looks like it's gone in perfect position actually. That needs to move up slightly. Okay, and then just a quick dab with the cotton bud just to soak up that excess water. Okay. Oh, slid it along with the cotton bud. They don't seem to be as sticky as decals normally are. It's weird. Lately I've been having real trouble, as you know, if you're a regular to my channel, you'll know that I've had real trouble with decals sort of going down and sticking to the surface. I might even try using a bit of microset on these because it looks like they might need it. Let's get my proper brush for the microset rather than using that silly little thing. Put a drop microset there, and I'm also going to put some here. Where's this one going? Down here. So I'm going to put some microset there and see how we get on. It could be that this particular batch of decals we can use, just get rid of that excess water, we can use it. I need to look at this through my magnifier because I'm not sure which way around it goes. It's very difficult to see. Okay, so it's going to go that way round. So I'm going to put that down there, and with a brush, just brush it onto the model. Get rid of that bit of paper. And then move it so that it's into the right place. Quick dab with the cotton bud, get rid of all the excess liquid. And then move it over there. I've moved it again with the cotton bud. Just tickle it back. And there we go. I'm just going to roll over both of them. I think I need to tweak that one. I'm going to get these done because my frog is coming in my throat, and I'll come back when they're all on. Show you how they look. Okay, I've broken a golden rule here. As I said, never cut decals out with a knife, always use scissors. But for me to get these two out for the size of the engine, I would have to cut along here and then cut around, and I would end up with it all flapping around. This early in the stage of the build, I don't want to do that. So I've used a knife. So what I'm going to do now, I've got to be honest, I forgot about these and I've put everything away. So what I'll do is use a knife to cut them out, and then go around with a pair of scissors and just trim where I've cut, so that I remove that raised edge, just like that. Okay, so we'll get those on, let them dry out, and then I'll come back and show you how they look. Right, they're all done now. So there's our decals on the sides and on the top of the engine. You can see that one there is still quite wet with the microsole. They should pull down. So I'll leave those for a good few hours and then give another clear coat, and then they'll have to have another sort of hour to dry off. But it's worth taking your time with stuff like this, especially on the big scale stuff. And as you can see on there, if I hold, you can probably see on there, you can see the edge around the decal, and if you don't gloss coat over them again and seal them in, any washes or whatever will pick up on that edge. So that's what we've got to make sure we do. So there we go. I've also, you may have noticed when I showed you earlier, I had that seam along there which wasn't very nice. I went over and just very lightly sanded it, avoiding these little cables on the inside. So that's all done now, and I've done the white base and the XF65 over the top, so you can see it's got that sort of grey coloured finish to it. That's going to fit in there like that. So you can see it sort of matches now, and it doesn't sort of stick out like a sore thumb with the jet black colour there. So there we are. So we are pretty much ready to start thinking about putting this together. I'm still undecided on this blue thing. It's a bit of a tough decision. So the trouble is, when you get people that really know their stuff and they tell you, you know, this is how it should look, and then you go down a different road, they can be quite offended. It's weird. So there we go. But we shall see. In the meantime, I have had another delivery of my D'Agostini Ferrari turn up, so I think I'll get that done. I've also had a little gift come from Airscale, which I don't know what it is, so we'll have a look at that as well. So while I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm going to make a couple of videos on that, and then we'll come back to this one after. That's what I knew I had to do. I knew there was something else in RLMO2. It's those things there. Must get those painted. Right, back in a bit. Okay, so there we are. They've been on a couple of hours. They've been gloss coated. I've done my Ferrari video in another couple. As you can see the carrier film now because it's glossy. But once it gets a matte coat on, it'll completely disappear. And the main thing is, like I say, you've now got a soft edge over that decal. It's sealed, so the washes, pigments, whatever, will not pick up on the edge of that decal. Now you can see here as well on this one. You can see if we catch it in the light. You can see the edge of the decal, but you can see it's soft rather than a hard edge. So there we go. You could lightly sand that if you wanted to, just to sort of level it out a bit, but on these small components it's not worth it. When they're going to be matte with cars and stuff, sanding and getting everything nice and flat is well worth it. You can see on the side of these water tanks here, they just sort of become one, you know. So these will get a satin varnish. I don't really want a matte varnish on those tanks. We want a sort of range of finishes. Remember, this is 24th scale, guys. It's not a little 72nd. It needs to be good and show a lot of detail and textures and stuff like that. Right, so now once again I've got to leave that to dry before I can do anything else, because this is clear. It's LP9. It needs a couple of hours, so we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to put those three sticks away as well. So there we are. So that, and if you're wondering what this is from another video I made while I was waiting for the decals to dry, and this was from Gary over at Tiger Hobbies. If you want one of these, you can get a bargain price. Use the code BFTIG10, not TIGBF10 like he told me. BFTIG10, put it in the checkout, and you'll get your kit delivered for £80.99 all in. Okay, it's a bit of a bargain, I think. Right, so I will see you all in a minute. All right, so today is not going well at all. Put the decals on, wait for them to dry. Put the clear coat on, wait for them to dry. In the meantime, I've had phone calls and emails, and I've had stuff I've had to do. It's worth remembering, if you're a YouTuber, you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, it's lovely getting the freebies, but you've got to remember, when people send you stuff, they want to see you review it. Some want to see you review it and build it. And, you know, you can find yourself being a slave to people sending you stuff. So just bear that in mind. You know, like when you receive something that you're really interested in, it's lovely. Like that D'Agostini Ferrari and the D'Agostini Mustang is great, you know, and the Wing Leader books and all that is great. But sometimes you get stuff and you think, I don't, you know, and you're trying to, you know, you're trying to push it, well, not push it, but, you know, promote it so that, you know, you guys get to see what it is and everything. But it's really difficult if it's something you're just not interested. I get lots of emails contacting me. People want me to review a drink, or I had one wanting me to do a lamp, and every man and his dog did a review of this same blimmin' lamp. You know, I was like, no thanks. And I've had stuff recently for websites that you can go on and interact with other people. I don't know. I'm a modelling channel, you know. Anyway, so we do some modelling, right? So we've got our engine block here, and as you can see, we've got the glossy sheen on the decals as we showed you just now. Well, just now for you, it was like 2 hours ago for me. So I've got my G-Hack 98 dual action airbrush here, which is great. It's got the 0.38 needle. The air is leaking from here. The reason is this female coupling is not gallery. This is, so they don't perfectly match. This is just like a cheap Amazon one. So sometimes you'll get, you know, you can hear it there. But generally, it doesn't really matter because I've got that beautiful gallery compressor. So I'm going to go with the satin on the black, because if you remember, they actually said, didn't they, that in the instructions XF80, not XF85, number 85. So we can put this straight in here. I know what you're thinking, it looks a little bit thick, but you can actually spray this straight at the bottom. You can thin it if you want to, but you don't really need to. I'm just going to get something to spray for a sample. We get this here. It's our little block that we stamp stuff on. And you can see that I can spray this from here, and it comes out beautifully. And that's only a 0.38 needle. You don't need a big needle for this stuff. And also I want it to be quite dry, so I want it sort of more on the matte side of the sheen level. So what I'll do is start with the decal. So you can see here, this is what I was saying earlier about getting rid of that step. You can see there, it's glossy. Well, let's show you on the top one, that's easier. It's glossy, and you can see, there you go, you can see the step around the edge of the decal. So I'm just going to blow it off with air, and then I'm just going to come along here with this satin varnish. I'm going to put it on fairly wet. It's absolutely brilliant stuff, this VMS varnish. You can get it from Brooks Models. I can't get on with the gloss, but the satin and the matte are absolutely brilliant. I'm just going to put it on there so I've got an even coat all over, and I'm going to cut back to air because I've put it down a little bit heavy there. And you can see now that basically that carrier film will pretty much disappear. Okay, if you really look, you can see it, but it's a soft edge. It hasn't got the hard edge of the decal, and that's why I put the clear over the top. Okay, so we're going to get this in. We've got the whole engine covered in satin, remember, not just where the decals are. We'll blow in the whole engine. We'll start where the decal is so we get a proper coat on top of that. I think it might have run out. You can see all the bubbles in the cup, that's just air bubbles coming back. So what we'll do, we'll get some more. That's the matte. Stupid man. This is the satin. Okay, so we'll put some more in there. That'll go straight to the bottom. And then we can... What's happening here? Have I got tip dry or what? There's a problem. It needs to be thinned down, I think. It's clearly clogged up. Yes, we've got tip dry on the nozzle. You can see it there. Yeah, I don't want to risk it having going all over the model. There we go, it's coming through now. You can see the air coming back up here, it's clogging up. I just want to get some down on this engine. Yeah, it needs thinning. I'm going to give it a little spot of thinners and then I'll come back. Hang on a second. Alright, I've literally put a couple of drops from a little pipette of this VMS airbrush thinners into there, and you will see that straight away it is spraying much better. So it's probably about 30% thinners. So we can just blow over that now, but you can see it's going down lovely. Okay, I'm just going to give it a couple of coats because I want a nice decent coat. And you can see now those decals. Just going to cut to air and dry that out. You can see now those decals look painted on, and with that pre-shading on the engine, it's looking pretty good, yeah? I hope you'll agree. I like the look of this. I'm just going to go around the ends of the cylinder blocks and stuff, and the ends of the front casing. And you can see how much better it's spraying with that tiny drop of thinners in there. See, it's just a tiny bit thinner. Alright, so that's that done. And then we've got this blue shield around the turbo. Right, now, there's texting now. It's been all day. The phone, texting, messenger. It's been crazy. Doing other videos, mad. Right, so that blue frame. Now, the turbo, I have finally come to a conclusion, and I think I've got the right answer. The turbo, the supercharger. The actual supercharger itself could have been painted all blue. The impeller would definitely, the compressor would not be painted blue. Somebody, I'm sorry sir, I've forgotten your name, they commented earlier, there's no way that would be painted. And it's true, I think I talked about this earlier, didn't I? Yes, I did. I remember talking about the balance. So that's not painted, but I think it's also needs to be a bit more silvery. I've got a little bit too much gold on there. But guess what? I put a black wash on it, it'll knock it back. But the actual supercharger itself could be painted all blue, but I think in generally what it is, it's just this pipe here, which is some sort of bleed air feed. So that is blue, and that is done in XF8. Okay, and I've just given it a coat of satin varnish as well. So I'm going to give this inlet manifold a coat of satin varnish, although it doesn't really need it. You can see it's going down very wet now and spraying beautifully. This stuff is absolutely incredible. As I say, I can't get on with the gloss, so I cut back to air and dry that out, and you can just watch it turn satin in front of your very eyes, even though it ended up flooding on because I pulled back too much on the airbrush. There we go, we've got a lovely satin finish on there, and you can see that seam has completely disappeared on the top there. Okay, I'm also going to do the supercharger. With this stuff, it dries so fast that if you actually spray it in a very light coat, you can't even see it being sprayed because it just dries instantly. Okay, so that's that gone down there. Now I need to get some on here. I just want to see if my airbrush is clogging up again. No, it's not. It's me. It's me. Right, so we're going to get some on there and make that decal disappear like it's painted on. Okay, that's looking lovely. And then what I'm going to have to do is roughly mask that. Get plenty of clear on there, so the roughly mask it won't pull the decal off. And then I'm going to do all this, I think. In fact, I might just go all out in satin. Yeah, let's get it all done in satin, shall we? Let's go mad, let's fill our boots. It's it's blocked up again. Really what I should be doing, I think they do say on here, using a 0.4 plus nozzle. This is 0.38, so I'm right on the edge. I should really put the 0.5 nozzle and needle in. I haven't done that purely for laziness. Excuse me. Excuse me. So basically I'm going to keep going now. I'm going to paint these. Get rid of that gloss. So you can see on there, we'll blow that back, put it back. This is just air, I'm just drying it off, and you can see here that it's looking all painted on. Okay, that's how it looked before with the gloss. You can see the edge of the decal. Put a little spray over with this. Here we go. Here's that compressor running. Can you hear that? That is the Gallery Apex Force GTX 778 compressor. At the moment, it's the same with the airbrush. They've got a sale on their website, and it's like up to 45% off stuff. So, and you can also, if you go and watch any of my gallery reviews, there's a link in there. It takes you to the website. You can have a look at everything, and you can use the code NMB, and you'll get 10% off on top of all the great sale prices they've already got on there. So yeah, bear that in mind. I'm having big trouble with this clogging up. I just want to persevere. And there you go, it's just turned off. How good would that be in the house if you've got a loud compressor that wakes the family and stuff? I'm just cutting to air because I thought it was glossy and I was putting more and more on. And what I've done is piled it on thinking it was still glossy, but it was actually just wet. There we go. So that's that done. Is there anything else? That's on this engine now, it's looking dry. There we go. Proper painted on decals, yeah. I think you'll agree. Looking lovely. Right. Now the next thing I need to do is seal these exhausts in, so I'm going to use some matte varnish for that. So what I'm going to do here is just pour this back into this bottle. Just like so. I'm going to put that back in the bottle as well, where I just squeezed that onto my finger like a clumsy oaf. I'm going to blow the airbrush through, get some of the matte. I might put the 0.5 nozzle in, or I might not. I might just thin it instead. And then we'll go from there. Back in a second. Okay, so the airbrush is clean now. So what I'm going to do is get these exhausts. Take them out of here. I'm going to get the XXL matte. I think the XXL is just the size of the bottle, so you can get smaller bottles as well. I think I've got one here, a small bottle of matte varnish. I think. I thought I did. Here we go. There's a varnish, matte varnish there in a smaller size bottle, so you can get the smaller size bottles. This is all available for Brooks models, all this stuff. All this VMS stuff. Generally the VMS stuff is absolutely brilliant, but I cannot get on with the gloss varnish. For some unknown reason, I'm not the only one either, so I think probably putting it down too heavy. So I'm going to put a couple of drops of the thinners in there. So that's the VMS Airbrush Thinners 2.0. And then what I'm going to do is put some thinners on the top of here, because we've got some dried on crusty bits. What I've done with my... This is the problem with spraying online. You've got to have everything over here, and when you're in the booth you need everything over there. Right, so just going to dry that off, wipe that off, because we had some crusty bits on this. So I'm going to put a couple of drops in here. So that's probably about 50-50 with the thinners. Maybe 30-70, maybe 40-60 thinners to paint. And then we'll just do another little test on here. Oh yeah, that's spraying lovely. That's spraying much nicer than the satin did. So what I want to do is seal these exhausts in, because they've got pigments on them, as you know. So we're just going to go over these with the matte varnish. And give them a good coat, because the whole idea is not for a matte varnish, it's to seal those pigments in. Because they are covered in pigments. Just blow, cut to air, blow it off. And you'll see this is a fantastic matte varnish. It really is a proper matte varnish. Some matte varnishes, like Tamiya's matte, is not really very matte. But this one really is. You will see there will be no sheen to these whatsoever. I'm just drying them off purely for speed. You don't need to do this, it will dry back on its own. And you can see there, they are totally dull. Okay, do the same on here. And I'll just show you, if I spray it on lightly, There's a really light coat gone down, and you can see it'll dry on its own in no time at all. There you go. It just needs a kick. As I say, I want to get it wet. I want to really get it wet because the whole objective is to stick those pigments down and seal them in, because I'm going to have to mask these to spray the shrouds. There we go, so that can just sit there and dry now. Okay, what else do I want matte? Is there anything else I want matte? Yeah, what I'm thinking is these pipes here, we have this hose on here which would be matte, so just going to give that a tickle. Now, I'm not going to go crazy with the weathering on this because apparently I am told the German engineers kept these aircraft really nicely up together. Just testing a little bit on my fingernail, what's left of a fingernail, because I chewed it all away. I'll just cut to air. That'll give us a nice flat finish on there. And there we go. So that, my friends, is that. So we are now ready to build. And as I feared, what's happened here, we've got some whitening. Just go over it very lightly again, it might get rid of it. This is what happens if you put matte varnish on too heavy, you can get this whitening, but if you put a light coat over the top of it, it may get rid of it. There we are. You see, we don't have it on this one because I didn't put it on heavy, or that heavy. Let's cut back to air. At the end of the day, if we do get the whitening, all I need to do is brush a little bit more pigment on and give it another light coat. So there we go. There we are. Right, so it will do that. I didn't think it would do that. I know that Tamiya does it. If you go on too heavy, it will just turn white. It's a problem with a lot of matte varnishes. And you just have to go that extra little step heavy and that's it, boom. I remember years ago painting a cockpit and I thought I'd give it a flat coat and it just turned everything white. So there we go. So you can see we've got a very slight bit of whitening on there. I'll just go over with a bit of black pigment and just rub it in. I could even do that after the plane is built. So there we are. So that is our engine. Now we can start looking at some assembly. I think those tanks maybe need a bit more of a sheen to them. Well, they'll probably look okay. We could always go in with some clear coats and brush it on. So this was the matte, wasn't it? So I'm going to pour this back into that bottle. Here we go, even though it's got a drop of thinners in it. And then I'm going to clean the airbrush, let everything dry, and then I'll come back and we'll look at start gluing it all together. Okay, just before we do some assembly, I just want to do a little bit of localized washes on bits that are going to be difficult to get to, because like for instance this fuel injection unit, that's going to sit down in the valley of the cylinders in there and it'll be difficult to get in. So what I want to do, I don't mean difficult to get in, it'll be difficult to get at, sorry. So what I want to do, I'm going to grab my little holder here and grab that on there. Okay, and then I can just literally brush this on, and this is basically like a Starship filth sort of wash. It's like a black grey colour. I'm just going to brush it all over, and it will pick up all the detail. And this is like, if you remember, if you've watched my other parts, I've said about seam cleanup, and that's why I'm so fussy about seam cleanup, is because if you leave seams, mould seams or seams from joining two parts together, the wash will pick up on it and it will look bloody awful. So if you're not using washes, maybe not worry about it, but if you are, then I thoroughly recommend. And you can see what that's done, it's highlighted all the details on there and it looks a lot better. And then what you can do is just, it's a little bit too soon, I would like wait for it to dry a little bit more normally, but we can just touch it on there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that to dry. There was another bit I was going to do as well. What was that? What was I looking at? I was going to do another part with this one. Oh, it's on here. So I'm just going to go over some of these details here. As you can see, what will happen is it just picks up. If you look at this, see this little silver piece here that I'm pointing at now? At the moment it's a blob of silver plastic, but if I put this wash on it, all of a sudden all the detail that's on it pops out. And even on the black, we can go around here and it will make the detail pop out on that as well. Okay, same on here on this little valve body, whatever it is. Same on here. Just put it on, and as you can see, all the detail will jump out at you. And you can either just leave it on there to dry, or you can, once it's dried, brush it over the cotton bud or something, and it will just leave the detail in the areas. The other thing we need to do is these engine mounts. I noticed the actual, you can see this part here which is bolted on with 4 bolts. That part needs to be RLMO2, as does these bits up here. And I think there's some other bits that need to be RLMO2 as well. But what I'm going to do is let that just dry for a minute or two, and then I'm going to get some RLMO2. Is there anything else here that will benefit from a wash? I think this pipe here will. Just going to put a drop of that wash in there and let that go around those grooves. As you can see, what it does, it just highlights wherever there's a little corner or anything. Same round there, look. And then you can just go over the cotton bud, remove the excess. And as you can see there, you've got a nice little highlighted area. Okay, you can make these washes yourself. You can buy them from many different places. There we are. I'm not going to put that down on its side, because what will happen is the wash will capillary down to where it's led, and you'll have the line in the side. So we'll put that in there like that. And the final thing I'm going to do is this supercharger. I'm going to put some of this into here to make these blades pop a bit, and then I think I might dry brush them with some silver. You can see taking them down straight away, taking all that goldiness away from it. Alright. Ooh, I've just noticed something else we could do. I think this would benefit, wouldn't it? Just brush it all the way along there. Let it work its way round. This is an oil pipe apparently. I guess it's got some copper sheathing on it. I wonder how many of you have used this code. I know that when I did the video today, lunchtime, there was 23 in stock. I last looked at about 3 o'clock and there were 10 left. So they're probably all gone by now. It's coming up for 5 o'clock now. So you're probably going to get a short video again, guys. I'm sorry, because today has just been a nightmare, as I've said so many times. It's been stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. I think those cramps there are going to be the same colour as whatever they go on to, so we'll have a look at what they go on to. What does that pipe fit to? Where is it? Where is said pipe? There it is. So that is going on to those mounts there. So yeah, they're going to be RLMO2 because they are actually going on to these mounts on here, which are also RLMO2. So I need to get some RLMO2 paint going, don't I? And then we can wait for that to dry. Oh dear, dear, dear. Back in a tick. Right, so as we all know, Tamiya is not the best paint in the world for brush painting. But I've got this stuff here which is no longer available in the UK, but you will find it on eBay and stuff. Modeller's World. I've spoken to Rob over at Brooks. I've asked him if he can start getting this stuff in. These Modeller's World products are absolutely awesome. I love them. That oil you just saw me use was Modeller's World, and it doesn't smell. It's really nice. Normally with oils you get that horrible thinner smell. So on here I'm just going to, what I do is mix it about 50-50 with the paint. What I'm going to do is just brush in this engine mount. You can see I've got a cotton bud sat here in case I go wrong. Or should I say for when I go wrong, because I always go wrong, don't I? I do everything bloody wrong, like I just did with those exhausts. So I'm just going to go around here, brush this in, just like so. go, just like that. Just brushing in that detail. We don't need to go over the front face of it because that's the bit that's going to be glued to the engine bearer. But you can see now that that is looking, it's making everything look a bit more busy. And then when we give it a little drop of wash, it will make it all pop. We could perhaps pick the bolt heads up as well. And then I've got to do these things on here as well. So I'll get this done and then I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, that whitening on that exhaust has, if anything, it's worsened a little bit. Actually, it looks quite good, but I'm not sure if it's authentic or not. But yeah, so I've learned something today. Hopefully you've learned as well. If you've got that VMS varnish, you can't lay it down heavy. You have to put it down thin. What I may try doing is giving it a very light coat of this one. This is the AK Ultra Matte varnish, and this is Ultra Matte. But one of the biggest problems with it is it's not very hard wearing. So I don't know if I sprayed that over the top, if that would get rid of it. I doubt it very much. Should we give it a go? Let's give it a go. Let's get my little, I'm going to use my little water airbrush. Give this a really good shake. This goes straight off. This goes straight out of the bottle. You don't need to thin it. So I'm just going to put a couple of drops in there like that. Put more on the bloody bench than I have an airbrush. And then I'm going to give this a very light. Is anything actually coming out? Yes, it is. Just give that a very light coat and see if that gets rid of it. Going from that back angle as well. Let's see if that gets rid of it. As I say, if it doesn't, it just means going over it with pigments again and starting again. It's not an issue. Everything, as long as you haven't melted a hole through your sided, well, even that's repairable, but there's a lot of things you can do on a model that you get away with. You wouldn't believe it, what you can get away with. There we go. But yeah, I've always found this stuff to be absolutely brilliant for cockpits and stuff, but anything you're going to handle, it's not very hard wearing. So as you can see, it's slightly better. I think we're going to have to go over it again with some pigments or something, and then a very light coat of varnish. It's just a lot of fuss for nothing, isn't it, really? Right, back in a sec. Okay, yeah, that's done nothing. So as you can see, they've still got the white bits on them. So we'll have to just do them again. It's not a problem. Right, I'm really sorry, guys, but I'm going to call it a day. It is now, it's 5 o'clock. It's Thursday, the 27th of November 2025, and I have really got nowhere today, and I've got to be out for sort of 6 o'clock. And I'm going to cut this off now rather than start doing anything else. The only one thing I will show you now, I know some of the newer models like to see this injection unit where I went over the oils. I can now come along with a cotton bud and just go over the top, and it will remove the wash from most areas, but it will leave it in all the detail, so the detail remains. You can see how beautiful the detail is on this kit. It remains all in there. You can see it's looking lovely, and that is literally just going to slot down into there. Which way around is it going? I'm way too ahead in instructions. It's going with this lump facing forwards, so it's going to go in. I shouldn't be touching this really because I've been doing, it's easy, it's obvious which way it goes. That's going to go in there like that. So I'm just going to test fit it. I think I test fitted it before. Yeah, it's a bit tight to go in, so what we'll do, we'll put some extra thin in the holes. Okay, and that will act like a lubricant, as you will see in a second. You put the extra thin in the holes, and the only reason they're tight is because of paint build-up. As you can see now, that's gone straight in, and I can just squeeze that down in like that. And that's a beautiful, beautiful fit in there. So you can see now how great that looks for you if you look up underneath the airplane. But It's not all about what you can see, it's what you know is there. That's what I always say. But that's beautiful, that engine, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. When you compare it to what you get in the 24 scale Stuka, which is, what, 50 years old now. There we are. So that paint clip can go away. So yeah, there we are, guys. So we've learned, don't put the VMS matte varnish on heavy, which I should have known anyway. And we've learned that taking your time, spending your time, just go bit by bit, don't go tearing into the model. It will reward you. You can see by this engine, with all that fussy pre-shading we did and taking the time to see all the decals and everything, you can see now on there, they are seamless. You can just see the carrier fill there if you just cut it right now. If I went over that with some matte varnish, you wouldn't see it, which I may well do. I may just do the top area there in matte varnish, but you'd have to, you need to look very, very carefully to see that edge. Okay, so how's that supercharger looking? It's looking great, isn't it now? Looking lovely. This is all going to be silver up here, and this is going to connect onto here, there, and there's going to be a seam there which you've got to deal with. That's going to be tough to do on the engine without breaking anything. So I'm going to do that as soon as I possibly can. I'm hoping I can. No, I can't. I need to put the ignition leads on first because the turbo goes on. That ignition lead is going to be right where that seam is. I may actually see if I can dummy build it. I will show you in the next video if I can. I may be able to fit the supercharger, fit that, just sort of tape it in position, and then glue that joint, and then take it off and sand it all off the model, and then paint that silver. Then we shall see. Just have a look at the page 7 rendering. And we can see that that inlet pipe, wherever it may be, where are you? Yeah, we can see there the whole thing is silver. So we can just see a bit of silver popping its head out there. So yeah, we'll get that joint really, really nice, and then we'll get that coat of paint of silver. I'm going to see if I can basically put the supercharger onto the side of the block, tape it in position, fit the LM manifold, tape that in position, glue that joint, and then see if I can take it off as an assembly. And then you can do the same, so you can deal with that joint, because I don't fancy going in here and sanding and filling joints all in between where all this lovely detail is. That's not going to look good, is it? Right, so I've got to go and have a shower, have a shave, and the other one, and and go from there. Don't forget, guys, BFTIG10, and you'll get this kit delivered from Tiger Hobbies, £80.99. That's probably one of the cheapest place you'll get it in this country, I think. Alright, so there we go. I'll be back tomorrow with more. I might be doing some work in the garage tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll get one out tomorrow or not, but I do want to get one out for you today, because you've had nothing constructive since Tuesday. So I'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Just have a quick look at those again. Okay, lovely. Right. Beautiful kit. Beautiful, beautiful kit. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.